that can be cool because like I mentioned, if you know where it's gonna take you back, right? Then you can have multiple parts of the same one, but then you can glue them together. So you can take one piece of that, one piece of that. But you have to be careful because if you select this, and then you can either, sometimes it just stops you, doesn't do anything, but sometimes it can take you back to your cue point, okay, that you have selected. So you just have to see how your settings are on your gear. Now, this is something you have to be careful of. I wouldn't recommend it if you are at sort of that beginning stage of your mixing journey. But we can stop it, and we can basically, let me just double check. So at the bottom we have the play and pause, right? But at the top we have your cue selection that we've been using, right? Now, what you can do is you can click that cue point, right? It's like we've done here. Okay. Now we're selecting. We can hit the cue point, and then it's gonna take us back to where our original cue point for when we started the track was, right? That I'm pretty sure about this, but just double check. So when we play the track, right, we have selected cue points, right? But then when we hit the cue, it's gonna stop depending on how your settings are on the on your gear and any computer, right? So this is something that's a little more obviously involved and an advanced thing, but you can click your cue point and it can take you back to one of your cue points. Now, most cases it'll take you back to where you originally selected the cue point, so where you basically switched over to that song, that cue point that you say. If you have multiple ones, it'll take you to the one that you recently played, from my understanding. That can be cool because like I mentioned, if you know where it's gonna take you back, right? Then you can have multiple parts of the same one, but then you can glue them together. So you can take one piece of that, one piece of that. But you have to be careful because if you select this, and then you can either, sometimes it just stops you, doesn't do anything, but sometimes it can take you back to your cue point, okay, that you have selected. So you just have to see how your settings are on your gear, and you can use that to your advantage. Now, if you're not comfortable doing that, because you have to be quite confident, because then sometimes it might take you back to a random one. But because with this music, it is quite forgiving. Sometimes it can be a very creative thing. So when you press it, it might take you to something else, some other cue point, and that's fine. Sometimes it might just just stop it, right? Because we have the functionality here selected for the play and stop, and it's going to do like a vinyl stop, right? You can sometimes press the cue and it'll just stop you straight away, but not without any of the vinyl breaks, okay? So does that make sense? So the play and pause button, we've activated the vinyl break. So when you pause it, it will slow it down, like in a very traditional way, like you're using your vinyls. So like it'll slow it down as you play like a record player, like a vinyl player. But when you hit the cue point, sometimes it will just stop you straight away. When you can use that to your advantage. So it'll stop you where you are, and then you can continue or take you back to your cue point. And you can use that to your advantage when you're working on something like this. So we've basically selected that, and then we've played it, and it's and then now we're at a point where we can build and build and build, and we're back into the drop again. Okay, so let's watch one more time. See how we're playing? Now, the reason I'm saying that it's not something you want to do as a beginner is because it can be quite violent. As you notice, you see how it just stops like that, and you want to be careful with those. Like we mentioned before, you want to maintain that groove, and when you have something so just permanent, you have to be very creative about how you use it. So I would watch this, but if you are sort of I wouldn't be too concerned about it. Focus on all the other core aspects first, and then build up to something like this.